Hakuna Matata. What a wonderful phrase. Hakuna Matata. Ain't no passing craze. It means no worries for the rest of your days. It's our problem-free philosophy. Hakuna Matata. Awesome. That was great. It means no worries. And when you think about it, and you think about what just happened here, and the thanksgiving that went out, all of a sudden, all the worries about how we were going to get through some of that stuff went away. When you have a spirit of thankfulness inside, worry cannot cripple us. Worry comes from stress, and stress is a part of life, right? Everybody has stress. A lot of people are trying to get rid of stress. You can never get rid of stress. You can only trade one stress for another stress. I'm thinking about Nick Zabin. I don't know if any of you heard him recently while he was talking at some kind of banquet, saying he regrets that when he was young and his kids were small, that he didn't spend enough time with them because he was always at work, going over game plans, 1 o'clock in the morning, making sure they had the right things. He regrets that he didn't spend enough time with his kids. So that family stress that was created by that hole that was left because he wasn't at home. But today he doesn't have financial stress. He certainly doesn't have employment stress. Anybody will hire him. So you just trade one stress from the other. You just have to make as wise choices as you can and let God work through it. Why do we stress so much? Why do we worry about what is happening to us? I was thinking about, in terms of Nick Zabin, John Wesley wasn't exactly the greatest husband in the world. Logan Brengel wasn't exactly the best dad in the world, and yet they gave us our theology and what we have. We all have certain regrets. But the question is, how in the midst of this life that sometimes takes bad turns and sometimes even that I cause, can I have peace and contentment about who I am, who I'm with, and what my circumstances are? In Philippians, Paul is writing to a church that is largely positive. It's a long thank you letter, isn't it? It begins in Philippians chapter 1 by saying, I thank my God every time I remember you in all my prayers because of your partnership in the gospel from the first day until now, being confident of this, that he who began this good work in you will be faithful to complete it until the day of Christ Jesus. And it ends in chapter 4 saying, you sent me aid again and again when I was in need. Not that I'm looking for any kind of gift, but I'm looking for what may be credited to your account. I have received full payment and even more. I am amply supplied. I am thankful. Now that I have received from Aphrodite the gifts that you were sent, they are a fragrant offering, an acceptable sacrifice pleasing to God. And my God now will meet all your needs according to the glorious riches in Jesus Christ. In 4:11 he says, for I have learned to be content in every situation. Can we be content? He started talking about, you were there for me in my trouble. And you see, contentment doesn't mean the lack of trouble. A lot of times we just want to get rid of circumstances. We want to be gone. We want to avoid. Whatever it is, we just don't want that harshness. We don't want that circumstance. But contentment is not the lack of problems or concerns. It is the ability to center ourselves in the divine history that God has always taken care of his people, and God will always take care of his people. It is embedded in the faithfulness of God for which we have our thanksgiving. Anxiety is embedded in the I don't have it right now. Thanksgiving sees the big picture. If we look at Philippians 4:4, and that's where we're going to kind of nail down right here, Paul gives us some reasons, some ways to get rid of this anxiety and have a thankful heart. And the first one he tells us is rejoice. We say this all the time, like when we're singing a song, the song leader get up and he'll start singing and he looks around the crowd and everybody's, and you just want to say, hey, will you tell your face what you're singing? You're singing about the joy of the Lord. The joy of the Lord. Somehow it has to translate from your heart to here, right? Rejoice. Fake it till you make it, I heard from Sally Broughton 1,000,000 times. I walk around with this furrowed brow, and my wife will always tell me, oh, here he goes. I always got these concerns, right? Holy cow. Let's think about what God is doing right, and not always dwell on what one thing might be wrong. They say it takes less muscles to smile. I don't believe them. But actors actually, in order to act, actually pretend, right? They do actually physically cry, and then when they physically cry, all of a sudden the emotion comes with it. Everybody raise your hands. Did something emotionally actually happen to you when you did that? Yes, because your physical body is tied to your emotional self. And we need to make sure that when we get to church and when we get at home, that we are taking time to physically spend time with God. Get excited. Yeah, it's easy for you to say right now because in about 2 hours you'll be crashed. Again, he has to say it. Rejoice. See, we need to be reminded all the time, don't we? Because we do kind of have these times where we rejoice, and then before we even get out the door, something might be said that brings us down. Or maybe by the end of the day, or something this coming week. It doesn't take long for Satan to ruin our joyfulness. But see, a thanksgiving heart, your joy cannot be removed. Because God's faithfulness will be by your side. Rejoice. Again, I say it. Rejoice. Let your gentleness be evident to all, he says, for the Lord is near. Now, the word there, in looking it up, is sort of not really gentleness, but it's forbearance. Anybody have student loans? Then you know what forbearance is, right? That's when you can't pay your bill and you write this little thing saying, I can't do it. And they forgive you a couple of payments until you kind of get yourself back on your feet. They sort of pay the debt or burden the debt for somebody else. Let your forbearance be known to all. Now, if you're like me, when I carry a burden, sometimes I like people to know that I'm carrying that burden. Oh, we got a burden. Really, truthfully, we should carry burdens willfully and joyfully. Otherwise, we shouldn't carry them at all, because that's not real Christ-like. We think it is. Oh, we're suffering for Jesus. No. Bring glory for what is being placed upon you. Forbear with one another. I especially have to remember this when I'm on the road, because my gentleness isn't always evident to all, is it? The truth is, everybody is watching you. Right, kettle workers? Everybody is always watching you. And if you say that you're a Christian, and you say you have this joy in your heart, then something inside you better look like it. And if it looks like anything different, then maybe we need to forbear a little more. Do we live a life that others would want to live? Or do they see us and say, not much different, don't need the Lord then? He says, forbear it because the Lord is near. And the truth is, we don't bear anything. Give me a break. The Lord bears it. we simply have to lay it at his feet and say, God, it's yours. Yeah, that's hard to do. Easy said, right? Because we're still concerned. We're still burdened. But the thankful heart knows that God is going to take care of that issue. And I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to. You may choose to, but you don't have to. The Lord is near. So don't sweat the small stuff, right? That's point one. Point two is it's all small stuff. You've heard that before. The big picture. When we see the thankfulness, when we see everything that we've been thankful for, then hopefully, maybe, some of the little things that are going to annoy us, we can say, that's not a big deal. The Lord is near. The Lord will take care of those issues. Therefore, if you rejoice, and if you let your gentleness, your forbearance be evident to all, then don't be anxious about anything. Anything. Don't be anxious about your kettle totals. I'm speaking to myself here. Don't be anxious about anything, but in everything. What? With prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, let your requests be known before God. Pray with thanksgiving. We don't pray as the world might pray, that says, oh, man upstairs or God in heaven, help me somehow here, and really not expect God to have any effect in our life. We're giving lip service. We have a relationship with this God of the universe who we know when we present our issues before him, he's better than our earthly fathers. He listens to us and doesn't just listen to us, but comes down to this earth and intervenes into our lives so that we can be thankful, knowing that God is going to work on our side. If God is for us, who can be against us? I also heard that say, if God is for us, who cares who's against us? God's with us. Pray with thanksgiving. It is already completed. Again, we are so concerned about the present that we miss the spirit of thanksgiving, that it is based in the fact of our testimonies throughout history, not only yours, but your parents, your grandparents, all the way back to Adam and Eve. And know this, that you are already in the future with God. Did you know this? You already exist out there in the future. You're already with him. There. Everything is done. The kingdom is now as well as it is coming. So let's live as people of the kingdom who understand that the kingdom is now. And then what's going to happen? You're going to get this peace of God. Not earthly peace, not not rest, or what. It's a peace of God that none of us can comprehend, right? The scriptures say. And what will that peace do? It does two things. It guards your heart and it guards your mind. Now, if you're like me, you can be an emotional roller coaster sometimes. The peace of God will make the highs, okay, you can have a little bit of high, but remember, future is coming. There's still challenges ahead, but those lows won't be as low. We got to stop ourselves on this emotional roller coaster and simply trust God. And then it's going to guard our minds, our thoughts. Some of us have difficulty sleeping because our bodies might be tired, but the mind just will not shut off. We're thinking about something that happened. We're thinking about something somebody said. We're thinking about things that were yet left undone that I have to do tomorrow. And we just can't stop ourselves. the peace of God that passes all understanding will guard your hearts, and it'll guard your thoughts. Have you ever tried, instead of, getting back up and watching TV? Ken, you're speaking to yourself here. Maybe it's time to read the Word and put something else in there. Maybe it's time to pray, because it's time to get rid of that stuff late at night that allows you not to sleep. Because tomorrow is another day, right? And tomorrow has enough trouble of its own, the scriptures say. So let us rejoice for now. And let us rejoice later. And let us be thankful. Let us remember and bring to remembrance those things that we were thankful for when Satan wants to throw in something that makes us discontent, that we will remember those things that we are thankful for and blessed. I'm going to invite the band and the songsters up, because we are going to end with one of my favorite songs. We're going to end in total praise. And what does that mean? What it means is everything is God's. And here we are. We are an offering to God, and we are here to praise Him. The difference between anxiety and thankfulness. Anxiety assumes the worst, that this is going to go bad. Thankfulness expects the best, because God's in it. He's going to work these things for good. With a brief introduction from the band, will you stand and sing together Total Praise?